All right, let's just dive right in. Today we're tackling one of the most powerful yet, let's be honest, least understood forces in all of human history. And no, this isn't just about being cynical. Think of it more like microbiology. We're here to detect and analyze a hidden force that holds back human progress, and we're using an Italian economic historian as our guide.
I mean, who can really argue with that? Our guide for this explainer, Carlo Cipolla, he starts with this simple, grim observation. And it's not a new feeling, right? It seems like for as long as we've been around, things have felt pretty deplorable. But he argues that on top of all the usual struggles, we humans have to deal with an extra burden, a daily dose of misery caused by a very specific group of people in our own ranks.
So why is everything so consistently frustrating? Cipolla, a professor at UC Berkeley of all places, he believed he'd actually found the answer. And he didn't approach this with feelings or opinions, but with a real framework, a set of basic laws that govern what he saw as this massive, unorganized group that's more powerful than any mafia or corporation out there.
So let's start with the sheer scale of the problem. You have to understand, Cipolla wasn't just talking about a few bad apples here and there. No, he was describing something much more widespread, a kind of unseen epidemic.
And here it is, the first basic law stated with zero ambiguity. It sounds almost trivial, maybe a little mean, but really think about it. No matter how low you set your expectations for human foolishness, you are constantly, repeatedly surprised, aren't you?
And it's such a familiar pattern. You're startled when people you thought were totally rational turn out to be, in his words, unashamedly stupid. You get annoyed day after day by people who pop up out of nowhere completely unexpectedly and always at the worst possible time. It's just a constant grinding reality.
Because we're always underestimating the number, Cipolla refuses to even try to put a hard figure on it. You can't. Any number you pick would, by definition, be too low. So in the grand tradition of science, he gives it a variable, the Greek letter sigma, or sigma. From now on, just know that sigma represents that constant and constantly underestimated fraction of stupid people in any group.
Okay, so we know we underestimate their numbers. The next obvious question is, where are they? Well, Cipolla's second law gives us a simple and, frankly, terrifying answer. They're everywhere.
This law is defined by its brutal fairness. Cipolla argues that stupidity is determined by nature, not by culture or environment. It's a completely indiscriminate privilege, you could say, distributed evenly across every single human group. Social class, race, education, your job, none of it matters. The probability that you belong to fraction sigma is exactly the same for everyone.
And he provides the evidence. Cipolla writes about these experiments he ran at universities all over the world. He analyzed every group on campus. He found the same proportion sigma of stupid people among the blue-collar workers. He thought, okay, maybe it's poverty or a lack of education. But then he found the exact same ratio among the white-collar employees and then again among the students. And this is the kicker. He found the fraction sigma was constant even among the professors. Just to be sure, he extended his research to a truly elite group, Nobel laureates. The result? You guessed it, the same. Nature's supreme power confirmed. The fraction sigma is constant.
So, if we can't identify stupid people by their job or their education or any other external thing, how do we identify them at all? Well, this brings us to what Cipolla calls his technical interlude, which is basically a diagnostic tool for classifying how people behave.
He plots all human behavior on a really simple graph. The horizontal axis measures the gain or loss to yourself from an action you take. The vertical axis measures the gain or loss you cause to others. This makes 4 boxes, 4 quadrants. In quadrant H, you're helpless. You take a loss to give someone else a gain. In quadrant I, you're intelligent. You create a gain for yourself and for others. Win-win. In quadrant B, you're a bandit. You get a gain by causing someone else a loss. And then there's quadrant S.
And this brings us to the most important law, the third, or golden law. This is the official definition. A stupid person is someone who causes losses to other people while getting absolutely nothing in return and maybe even losing something themselves. So the key point here is that this isn't just about being selfish or mean. A bandit is selfish. A stupid person's actions have no rational benefit, not even for them. They're like a black hole for human well-being.
Just think about it for a second.
We've all dealt with bandits. We know what that's like. But as Cipolla says, our daily life is mostly punctuated by losing money, time, and energy because of the totally improbable action of some preposterous creature who has absolutely nothing to gain from causing us harm. There's no explanation for it, except one. The person in question is stupid.
So now that we have a working definition, we can finally get to the climax of the theory. Why is this specific type of person so uniquely destructive? What is the true power of stupidity?
Here it is. This is the core danger. A bandit's logic, however nasty, is still rational. You can understand their motive. They want something from you. You can predict their actions, and you can build a defense. But a stupid person's actions are, by definition, completely irrational. They bother you for no reason, with no coherent plan, at the most random times. You are completely at their mercy.
It's like Schiller wrote, "Against stupidity the very gods fight in vain." How can you possibly build a rational defense against an attack that has no rational structure? You can't. The attack comes from an angle you can't even conceive of.
And this leads us to another really costly mistake, which is summed up in the fourth basic law. Non-stupid people, and that includes intelligent people and even bandits, they constantly forget just how dangerous stupid people really are. They might feel contempt, or maybe they'll even try to team up with the stupid person to use them for some scheme. This, Cipolla says, is always a catastrophic error, because you can never predict the stupid person's next move, and before long, one will be pulverized.
Their sheer numbers, their irrationality, and our total inability to defend against them, it all leads to one single, sobering conclusion.
This is the fifth and most famous basic law. And its corollary is that a stupid person is more dangerous than a bandit. Now, why is that? Well, a perfect bandit just transfers wealth. They take $100 from you, they now have $100. Society as a whole is no worse off. But when stupid people act, they cause losses to others with no gain for themselves. They just destroy wealth and well-being. The society as a whole is made poor.
Okay, so let's zoom out from these one-on-one interactions and apply this logic to the fate of an entire country. What does this theory mean on a massive, macro scale?
Now remember, the fraction of stupid people, sigma, is a constant. So a country in decline doesn't suddenly have more stupid people. No, the difference, Cipolla argues, is in the non-stupid population. In a thriving society, intelligent people are empowered and they create gains for everyone while neutralizing the damage from the sigma fraction. But in a declining society, those same stupid people are allowed to become more active by the other groups, which leads to a rise in bandits and a helpless population.
This dangerous new mix of non-stupid people inevitably strengthens the destructive power of the sigma fraction that was already there. Decline becomes a certainty. And, in Cipolla's very blunt and final analysis, the country goes to hell.
So we'll leave you with this. Cipolla's laws are a powerful, if, well, a pretty grim analytical tool. They offer a coldly rational explanation for a world that often feels maddeningly irrational. Now that you have the framework, who in your world truly falls into quadrant S?